What's going on, everyone, and welcome to a new show coming to GroupCast Sports, Path to the Draft. Here on this show, we're going to be discussing everything that you need to know relating to the NFL Draft, who to watch for, whose stock goes up, whose stock goes down, which teams are going to draft who. We're currently 49 days away from the NFL Draft, so let's dig right into it. Starting off, we're going to name our top 3 players out of the combine. Who had the best combine? Steven, let's start with you.
Well, my top 3 right now would be DK Metcalf from Ole Miss, Montez Sweat from Mississippi State, and Brian Burns from Florida State. All 3 improved their stock tremendously over the past week at their combine, whether it be with the interviews, the on-field or the off-field workouts. Starting first with DK Metcalf, had a huge day off-the-field workouts when he, put up an impressive 27 bench reps, had a 40-inch vertical. Then on the field went and ran a 4.33 at that size. That's unheard of. I think he's 6'4", 228. I mean, that's just, you don't see any guys like that. The cone drills were a little bit worrisome for me, but I'm not too worried about it. I think he's going to pan out. I think he's just too big and fast for these NFL cornerbacks. The second one I was going to go with Montez Sweat from Mississippi State. His on-the-field workouts, they said, were some of the best they've ever seen from a defensive end. Ran the fastest time by a defensive end by over a tenth of a second at a 4.41. Just had tremendous combine overall. And my last guy was Brian Burns from Florida State, who had a little bit of trouble with the interviews, wasn't great with them, but really showed out with the on-the-field workouts. Not so much necessarily the 40, as in just the footwork drills and all that, and has really improved his stock.
I'm going to rank these guys. I have 3 guys in mind. I'm going to rank them from best combine to, third best combine. First best combine in my mind, I've changed my mind about this so many times. The person who had the best combine was Kyler Murray. Listen, I know he didn't do much, but him coming in and weighing, what was he, 207 and 5'10 and 1/8, that changes the game right there. He's no longer a small guy. Everyone was saying, oh, he's going to measure in at 5'8", oh, he's going to measure in at 5'9". Well, now he's drawing comparisons to Russell Wilson, and that's a great person to have great company with. Secondly, I'd like to go with Quinnen Williams. That is a big freaking man. For him to be running like that, that shows a lot. I think that he's climbing up the boards, possible number 1 overall pick. And third, I'm going to go DK Metcalf. I'm not as big on DK as a lot of people are. Listen, he's a huge guy, strong as all get out, and he ran a 4.33. Listen to that. There's no thing you can pick apart. But when you look at his 3 cone drills and his 20-yard shuttle, and you see it, he ran the same. Tom Brady had better times than him in those things, and that's like the number 1 drill when it comes to receivers. You got to be able to move laterally. You got to be able to run those routes, and he didn't. Regardless, he's a humongous man, a strong dude, and he can run very fast. So he's my third.
For me, my number 1 was Devin White, the linebacker from LSU. I think that White completely just left all other linebackers in the dust. He did phenomenal in his field drills. He ran a wonderful 40. I'm really excited to see what he can do. He was a beast in college and just had that carry on over to the combine. Number 2, I'm going to go with Montez Sweat. Like Steven said, Sweat just absolutely dominated. I mean, he showed that he is easily top 10 pick in my opinion. He
certainly could be.
He ran a wonderful. It was actually the fastest 40 in his position
By over a tenth of a second, like all time.
Yeah, and his on-field drills were incredible. I'm excited to see how he does at his pro day. And then third, I'm going to go with Josh Allen from Kentucky. I've been a Josh Allen fan this entire year. I love him playing during this season, and I think that I think without a doubt he's going to be a top 3 pick in this draft this year, and that's my top 3. Some honorable mentions to me would be, one of mine would probably be AJ Brown. To me, AJ did really well. He ran kind of sort of a slow 40 his first attempt, but the second attempt he made up for it. I think like 4.49 was it?
4.49.
4.49, and did wonderful catching the ball. Had great hands. Y'all got any honorable mentions?
Like you said, Devin White. I left him off my list, but he was another guy that had a huge day. Really boosted him from, I thought he was going to be somewhere from 15 to 20, really might have gotten him into the top 10.
Brian Burns. I didn't mention him, but really he went from being a top linebacker to a top defensive lineman to maybe the top defensive lineman.
Moving on to our next topic, like Alex said, Kyler Murray. He has been the talk of this draft, since he decided to not go play for the athletics and play football. There's been a lot of speculations out there about his height coming from a few NFL analysts saying that the NFL actually got it wrong at the combine with his height, that he's actually much shorter. Now, we obviously have no idea whether these statements are true or not. I have read in a lot of different places that they're going to definitely measure him at his pro day. But I just want to know, do you guys think that he is truly the number one pick in this draft?
I'm not sure about number one, but Kyler Murray is QB1. That's for sure in my book. Listen, I saw a lot of analysis talk about his character, whether or not he's a leader, and to me, that's just guys that are preying on this guy's downfall. Listen, he's small. Maybe he's not your conventional quarterback, but he is a monster and he lights up the scoreboard. And the players around him are different when he's on the field. We saw that at Oklahoma. He changed everyone around him. He made that team what it was. He is an absolute monster. I don't mind someone picking him number one overall. I'm not sure if it's right for the Arizona Cardinals, but if a team wants to trade up and get him, I think that's a good idea because Kyler Murray, if he pans out, he could alter a team more than anybody else in this draft, being a quarterback and being that electrifying prospect.
I'm sort of with you, Alex, on this one. However, I do have a lot of concerns about the size. I do believe that there's a reason he didn't run the 40 and all those drills was because he bulked up for the combine just weighing at 207 and not 190 or 195, which would have been considered too light in terms. I also agree with the analysts that I'm not sure that he's 5'10". I don't know how he would have gotten around that.
I feel like that's just hearsay. That's just guys that are looking for drama, looking for attention. If the NFL says he's 5'10", he's 5'10". Can we please let this guy be great?
I agree with what you're saying. However, I have read stories that he was too short to get on a roller coaster at Six Flags just last year. I don't know how all that would come. I don't know how all this will pan out, but I would certainly like to see what he measures in at his pro day. Another thing is, I was going to say he is a phenomenal athlete. And this is a weak quarterback class, so I do agree that he is the QB1 of this class. However, I don't see him being a franchise guy for 15, 20 years. I think the measurables aren't there. I don't think he's fully committed to football. I think he's still in the back of his mind is considering baseball. So I don't see him panning out as a franchise quarterback.
I'm not going to take anything away from Kyler Murray. He, like you said, he's a phenomenal athlete. What he did at Oklahoma this year was just incredible. But I do have a problem with the Arizona Cardinals taking him number one. I'm not a Cardinals fan, but for Cardinals fans, we get Josh Rosen last year. And I'm also a fan of Josh Rosen.
I agree.
I think that he came into a bad program. He came into a bad organization. And, he's not going to be, this one quarterback is not going to be able to just change the game in a year. Okay? You have to give it time to develop. And I just think, trading him and then just getting Kyler Murray, I don't think it's a good move. But I do want to ask y'all this. Do y'all think it could be possible that the Arizona Cardinals are saying so much about, drafting Kyler Murray first, that they're possibly trying to see if anyone is willing to give them, a big trade for that number one spot so a team could get Kyler Murray?
I certainly believe that could be true. I certainly think that the Cardinals are looking at moving down and trying to still get their guy at a later pick. I don't think that I think the Kyler Murray thing is just, like you said, just trying to see if somebody will bite and move up and try so they can get more draft picks and still maybe get the guy that they really want at 4 or 5, but they were just concerned about taking him 1 overall.
What you Alex?
I agree. I think that's a chance. Listen, if I'm the Cardinals, I'm not giving up on Josh Rosen yet, but I'm also a very firm believer in Josh Rosen. That being said, Kyler Murray is a generational talent in my opinion. Maybe he's not the franchise guy, but he's electrifying. That's to say the least. He's someone who can definitely change the motivation of players, and so maybe they're doing it to get a pick. And if that's the case, then can't blame them. They're being smart.
Yeah. Moving on to our last topic of the night. The players who did not do well at the combine. The ones who, maybe had a high draft stock going in, but their performance at the combine kind of lowered that. Steven, I'm gonna start with you.
First of all, my guy is Greg Little from Ole Miss. I know he went in as probably a mid-first round pick, but he went and ran the 40 and did his drills, and they said he was one of the worst guys there. He ran a 5.4 40, which is not slow, but not too slow. I don't know how to explain it, but he was very slow. And then, on his on-field drills, he wasn't impressive. He wasn't bad, but just wasn't good. He wasn't that top 15 type pick that everybody kind of expected him to be. So I think that he really might have, fallen out the first round after that combine. He weighed in heavy, wasn't as tall as people thought he was. So that's my biggest fall from this combine.
Mine is, without a doubt, Ja'Kai Polite. I heard a story that there was a teammate of his at the combine, saying he's going to crush it. He's the best athlete he's ever seen. There's no secret that Ja'Kai Polite absolutely did terrible at the combine. I heard that player that teammate of his, left the entire combine, just didn't run anything because he knew that if Ja'Kai did that bad, he knew he was going to do even worse. Listen, Ja'Kai Polite ruined his draft stock completely. He was a unanimous. Everyone knew he was going to be a first rounder. And now, I'm thinking he might drop third round. I heard that there was a lot of terrible interviews he had. Some people wiped him completely off their entire board. He apparently wasn't a good talker. He wasn't good in the interview process, and he wasn't that great of an athlete either. Ja'Kai Polite falling to the third rounder later.
Speaking on, I just want to go on that for a minute. I don't understand what you can say in interviews that makes teams take you completely off their board if you're a projected first round.
Right. I don't understand what he can say.
I think what a lot of people don't really realize, as far as like when he says the interviews and stuff, is that these NFL owners and these teams, they're drafting people that could one day possibly be the face of their franchise, and you want somebody who is going to go in, they're going to interview well, they're going to answer the tough questions that these journalists put in front of them. You don't want somebody who's going to stutter all over the place and then bam, just drop some bomb that sends your entire franchise into a frenzy.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you can't draft him with your third round pick or your fourth round pick.
No, you're right.
They've taken him completely off the board, saying we're not drafting this guy, even if he's by far the best player. So I don't understand what you could possibly say or do that would make them do that.
My guy, and I actually hate to say this because I've been like a huge believer in him, Dwayne Haskins. He didn't do. Now I did read he was going about 75% at the combine, but the only thing that he did well in was the throwing. And I mean, we all knew going into the combine that he was gonna outthrow everybody. I mean, he's a huge guy. His 40, I think he ran like a 5.1 maybe, but like
it was slow.
Yeah, it was slow. I'm not gonna say that it necessarily hurt his draft stock because I still think that the Giants are gonna take him in the first round, but it definitely put some question marks around his name in my head as far as how he did at the combine. So I'm excited to see what he does at the pro day. If maybe he can do a little bit better, but we'll just have to wait and see for that. That's going to do it for our first episode of Path to the Draft. We will be airing a new episode each week. Be sure to be looking out at GroupCast Sports on our website, on our Facebook. We all will be doing our own personal mock drafts. And then on draft night, we're still discussing it, but we might have a little live thing going, watching the draft, seeing whose mock draft kind of does the best. So, just see how it goes. I want to thank everyone for their support to GroupCast Sports. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Go like us on go check out our new website that we just made, and have a good night.